Testing. Hey, everybody.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
We are live. We are here. We're going to be talking about some stuff, things, and other
Movies
things.
and shows and, like we do
Yeah.
in general.
And
Yeah.
sometimes life slips in.
Yeah. So I think we should just get right into it because I don't have anything to vamp about. We did that before the show. Man, if people could hear that conversation, I would not come off with the one thing that I said did not sound right out of context. Because my wife stopped and stared at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because she couldn't hear the rest of the conversation. She just heard what I said, and I'm not repeating it on the show.
No, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But let's get into it. Hey, everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And today we are going to be talking about not Inside Llewyn Davis like we teased last week. This Sunday night, I called an audible and changed it to this week. We're going to be talking about the Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards on Sunday night, CODA, which is a film that I saw because I watched all the Best Picture nominees before the show, and these guys hadn't. So we're going to be talking about that in just a little bit, but before we get into that, have you guys watched anything lately? Ryan, have you watched anything?
No, not really.
I know you're excited about baseball.
Yes, I am that. That's something that I'm still kind of in shock over. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So what explain it to me like I'm 4.
You're literally my link into the world of baseball, Ryan. I don't get
you.
this.
You have 30.
Okay, so
give me the 30-second pitch of what you're excited for.
Yeah.
One of the greatest baseball players to have played the game between 2001 and like 2013. He's still in the league, but that's when his like decline happened a little bit. He played for the Cardinals from like 2001 to 2011. And he's been gone for 10 years, and he's going to be retiring this year, and he signed with the Cardinals to play his last season back. So he was with the Cardinals for 10 years, he left and went to go play for the Angels, and now he's ending his career back with the Cardinals, which...
So it's kind of like if Michael Jordan joined back with the Bulls for his last season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aw,
pretty much
really cool.
But at the same time, it would also be like if Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman were still on the team when he did that, because Molina and Wainwright, who have both been with the team since 2006 and have been on the team that whole time, they're also retiring at the end of the season. And as soon as I get a freaking jersey in the mail, I'll have all 3 of their jerseys too.
Wow.
Which I'm still waiting on. I paid for like 2-day shipping, and it's been like a week, so I'll be sending an email soon about what's going on.
Okay.
Almost unrelated to what you said, I saw my best take on what a jersey is. Somebody tweeted, "Oh, look at you in your little shirt. You look like your favorite sportsman now." And it's just such a funny reduction of what a jersey is. I had to laugh.
Yeah, no, I actually got into a like internet spat with someone who was honestly, I think they were joking, but then someone joined in on the conversation who I know is being a bit more serious about it, talking about how like if you're wearing someone who's wearing a jersey is cosplaying. And I have a greater respect for what cosplaying is than to water it down to me wearing a Pujols jersey means I'm sitting here cosplaying as Pujols.
Yeah.
Like, I have a greater respect for cosplayers than to boil it down that far.
Right.
So I got into a little bit of a spat before I realized, just stop replying. Just stop replying.
If that's the case, then Alan's cosplaying as a soapbox right now.
Yeah.
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 You're wearing the thing.
Yeah. my Simpsons shirt.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Mr. Sparkle.
Fish bulb.
So I watched a thing that has been 3 years in the wait, 4 years since season 2. Season 3 of Atlanta came back on this week, and I watched the first 2 episodes last night. The first episode is very, it reminded me a lot of Get Out, which was really good, but it was also like really hard to watch. The second episode Devin, I need you to watch this show.
Well, I heard what this episode's
Yeah.
about.
So the whole season is taking place in Amsterdam, which I know you and your wife. I think you're going. Aren't you going there this weekend?
Literally Friday.
Yeah. There are some things that you and I talked about before the show that happen in here that you're gonna have to explain to me later on. But
Yes.
yeah, I love this show. Donald Glover has a great, weird sense of humor. It's always well shot. The cast is phenomenal. Donald Glover, Zazie Beetz, like it's just a great show. I'm glad it's back. But Devin, is right up your alley. Ryan, I don't know if you'd appreciate it as much as he does, or he would, but I think you might find it boring.
Oh.
But
I'm really excited to watch this, though.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested in it. Now I'm curious.
Okay. But yeah, I recommend season 3 of Atlanta. Devin, what do you got?
So I was watching this show that I had really wanted to watch for quite some time. It is called Our Flag Means Death. This has been on my radar for quite some time just because I'd seen it and it looks kind of like a quirky offbeat thing. I love this show. So the whole premise of the show is that it's 1717. There's a wealthy landowner whose name is Stephen Bonnet, I think. And says he has a midlife crisis and decides to blow up his cushy life to become a pirate. It doesn't go well. And it doesn't go well. I mean, in episode 1, he's talking about how his pirate ship has a fully stocked library, and any of the men are welcome to take out a book and read whenever they want. And they have craft time and music time to help them get in touch with their feelings. And he pays his crew a living wage so they don't have to pillage in order to make a fair and adequate wage, so there's not that stress on them. I love this. I love this.
So why? Okay. So then why? Is there any reason for them to pirate then?
There's no reason. Then in episode 1, they literally steal a single house plant from a fishing boat and then congratulate themselves on their piracy for the day.
Now, are the rest of them real pirates, or are they like as kooky as he is?
No, the rest of them are real pirates who are sitting around going, when do we get to kill someone? I don't understand what's happening.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderful. I love this.
So
that sounds hysterical.
Taika Waititi's in this, right?
Yes. He is in this.
And he plays. And he plays Blackbeard.
He does play Blackbeard. And they talk about like what it was like under Blackbeard. Like some of his crew talk about what it was like under Blackbeard. I haven't gotten to too much of his parts yet, but what I've seen of him, I mean, I love him in everything that he's in. So he's just great.
The season's over, right?
Season is over. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just haven't gotten all the way through it, but I love it.
This has been on my list since it premiered. I just haven't gotten around to it because I was busy watching every Best Picture.
That makes sense.
And my wife wants to watch it too. So it's kind of one of those. Are we in the mood for this pirate show yet or not? And it just hasn't come up yet.
Fair.
I've been watching another HBO Max show that takes place in the 70s. Any guesses on which one what this show is? Have you seen any commercials for it, Devin?
It's not
The
that
70s show?
That's what I was gonna say.
Well, they have that Winning Time basketball show going on right now, which I thought this show was just from the commercials, like because they have like the same time period and all that. So I never really paid attention to the commercials. It's a completely different show called Minx. It's about in the 1970s Los Angeles, an earnest young feminist joins forces with a low-rent publisher to create the first erotic magazine for women.
Oh, wow.
I find it funny that, like, almost anything 70s related that Alan brings on the show revolves in some way around the adult adult entertainment industry.
So it's this and what, The Nice Guys?
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much.
I wouldn't say 2 was a pattern.
All of the things.
No. I mean, okay. So 2 wins for any sports team is a winning streak. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a pattern. As far as I'm
Well, so the low rent publisher in this is played by Jake Johnson from New Girl, and he's Peter B. Parker.
Yay!
That was what kind of got me into the wanting to watch the show. I was like, oh, he's in this. Okay, I'll check this out, and it's a really good show. There's a lot of dick.
Nope, probably. Probably.
So be prepared for that. So it's HBO leading into male nudity, which is interesting. But it's a very funny and compelling show.
I was wondering if it was it. I feel like something like that. It's got to be. I mean, it has this almost the same kind of vibe, at least from what you had mentioned about kind of Miss Maisel. Not in terms of tone, but in terms of like a woman trying to break into a predominantly male-led field.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is that. Definitely a lot more nudity than Miss Maisel. Like even on this, even the poster here, like you have a naked guy like blocking the camera a little bit. So, but yeah, it's produced by Paul Feig, friend of the show. So, but
yeah, I'm gonna like this. This looks interesting.
My wife commented, "Well, we watched Masters of Sex as well, so they might have a point." I mean, that was in the 50s, so
totally different time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a totally different. I'm very, very relieved to hear Devin actually say that sentence.
That I knew it was a different time period.
Yes.
Hey, anything I can do, man. Yeah. To tell you that I know time.
Oh man, my contact is like bugging my eye. It's making my nose run. So if I sound nasally, that's why. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Let's talk about what we all watched together a little bit without getting into the thing that the internet's been talking about all week. We watched the Oscars together, and that was a lot of fun.
Did. That was great. It was.
Thank you to everyone who joined us for our Oscars watch party on Sunday night. It was a blast. We might do it again in the future. We might do stuff like that in the future. I don't know if it's going to be for the Oscars or what, but it was a lot of fun. We had our wager going. If you missed that, we each filled out our own ballots, and by we I mean Devin and I filled out ours. And we rolled a dice to fill out Ryan's. And I've still got the score here.
Perfect.
So
in third place was Ryan and his dice.
Damn it. I was really hoping that I would get more points from the time that the Oscars ended to now. But I guess that really didn't happen.
Yeah, you had 3 points. Devin came in second with 5 points.
That's good for me.
And then I won with 7 points. So as winner at the end of the show, I will be announcing our pick for next week, which is a film that we have all seen, but I want to talk about. So that's going to be something I think we're going to implement a little bit more on the show, because there are moments where it gets to the point where we're like, I don't know what I've seen that you guys haven't. But there are definitely things that we've all seen, but I haven't seen my pick in almost 10 years.
And I have that too. And I want to talk about some of my favorite movies with you guys too.
And I think that might be something going forward that we don't do it every week, but I think every 3 or 4 picks, we're allowed to do that just to open things up a bit. So I'm excited to announce what that's going to be, but you're going to have to wait until the end of the show for that. It's a doozy. But any have you guys heard any big takeaways from the Oscars Sunday night?
I mean,
did anything happen?
I learned that I like James Corden about as much as I knew that I learned that I love James Corden.
Yeah,
that's my. He did a parody of a song, and I hate it. No one asked for it.
The best part of the Oscars being on ABC is that James Corden will never host the Oscars.
So someone asked me the other day, where did all this hate for James Corden come from? Because I remember like 8 minutes ago, people absolutely loved him, and when he popped up, they were like, "Oh, look at him! He's so charming and great." And now people absolutely hate him.
I think we're not talking about the Oscars at this point, which is fine. I think it comes from what I said during the Oscars. Like they did that whole fan favorite category and showed a clip from Cinderella, and I was like, wait, James Corden's in that too? He's in everything.
Yeah.
He's in every major Broadway musical adapted into film of the last 10 plus years, all the way back to like Into the Woods. Like he's been in every single one of them. And like
I will.
like I'm
Sorry.
surprised he doesn't. I'm glad he doesn't show up in Tick Tick Boom, but it's like right
Yeah.
up his alley to do that. We talked about this a little bit during the Begin Again episode as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those people that's like, oh, you want me for your movie? Yeah, sure, I'll show whatever you want to pay me. It's okay, I'll be there. I wonder if that's why he ends up doing as much stuff as he does, because he has no problem singing and dancing, and yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I need work.
Who does he play in Cinderella? And can it please be the Fat Mouse?
I think that's what it was. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it is. That's what.
Great.
That's from what I remember.
Great.
But the one thing from the Oscars that I'm surprised that I haven't seen anything about, because usually fashion is usually something that people like really grapple onto for the Oscars for some reason. The main character from Dune did the whole shirtless suit jacket
Yeah.
thing. I haven't heard a thing about that except for a parody blog that somebody wrote online pretending to be him miffed that what happened at the Oscars took away from his rebellious fashion choice. Which, if I can find it, I'll send it to you guys. But
Yeah,
it's
a good take.
A friend of the show, Bill, just commented, stole my joke.
Jamie Tart.
The
Yeah,
Jamie Tart,
yeah, I saw that. I mean, 100%. Like that. He had the necklace on with like no shirt that looked like a fancy diamond, like buffalo like tie thing, and
Yeah.
like
man,
it was
ties.
yeah, well, polo ties,
No, a bolo tie. Is that what I'm thinking?
buffalo
Of?
tie.
What's a buffalo tie?
Same thing. They're the same thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
The what?
I always see them with like cowboy stuff on them, so to me they're buffalo ties. I mean, they're
So
buffalo ties.
I saw a picture of him at the Oscars with the other Paul Atreides from the original Dune, whose name is blanking right now. But I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I straight up forgot how many people were in Dune, because I was like, oh, Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin are presenting together. That's a cool combo.
Oh, right.
Completely forgetting that they were both in Dune.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah.
including Jamie Tart. They pulled a fictional character from an Apple, Plus TV show and brought him over.
Yeah, he plays the sandworm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Devin, I know you were up. You got up very early to join us. Was it worth it?
Oh, 100% it was worth it. I mean, I was there for the big thing that we absolutely missed.
Yeah.
My favorite part was Ryan telling me was that explainer conversation why we missed it. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, go check. When you're done watching us here, go check out the clip on our Instagram and Facebook page of what we were doing during that big moment during the Oscars and why we missed it. Technically, I knew something was going on because I thought my computer died because I lost sound. I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on screen. So,
I don't know what's going on with me, but I've had some really bad takes lately. That one being one of them.
Yes.
The other one being me not understanding what's a documentary. I don't know what's going on with me, guys. I'm falling apart.
We're gonna do a spin-off show called Bad Takes with Devin Struthers.
Things come in threes, and so you've got your thing with King James. You had your thing with the I Love Lucy movie. You have one more coming, so you have one more ridiculous slip up, and then you'll be good for a few weeks, and then it'll start all over again. Just like it does with me and Alan. Occasionally, we get 3 screw ups over a course of a few months, and then everything fixes itself.
It's gonna be this movie. I know it is.
Are you sure about that?
I'm worried, but I hope not.
If it's not this
week, not a documentary.
If it's not this week, it's going to be next week. You're going to say something that. But yeah, the Oscars were fun. Check out that clip. You can go back and rewatch our whole live stream if you want. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about the Oscars. Yeah.
Should we talk about the one that won Best Picture?
We should talk about the one.
We
one
should,
Best
yeah.
Picture.
I think we should get into that.
I would love that.
I'm kind of upset at myself. Like I was like, I missed the perfect segue when we started talking about Jamie Tart on Apple TV Plus, because CODA is also on Apple TV Plus. CODA won Best Picture at the Oscars, and after we made our picks, I was kind of upset with myself that I picked Nightmare Alley to win Best Picture. I wanted to pick CODA. I really did. And I think if you, like, Devin, you can back me up on that. Like, I was very torn between the three.
You were really on the fence there.
I didn't think the Academy would go for CODA. I really didn't. I wanted them to.
I want to talk about that take specifically because, I mean, we'll get to what my thoughts are, but I really want to know why you didn't think the Academy would go for it.
We'll get into that. Let me introduce the film first. CODA is the story of Ruby as a CODA, child of deaf adults. Ruby is the only hearing person in her deaf family. When the family's fishing business is threatened, Ruby finds herself torn between pursuing her passion at Berklee College of Music and her fear of abandoning her parents. This is a pretty good job of summing it up. We talked a little bit before about weird niches and things happening in two. I can name another movie that deals with a music career in a fishing business, and it's called The Fisherman's Friends. It's a film that I did a review for our friends over at Victims and Villains. But yeah, the film stars Amelia Jones, Marley Matlin, and Troy Kotzer. Troy Kotzer won the Best Actor. The film also won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Wow.
Won Best Adapted Screenplay for Sian Heder and won Best Picture of the Year. So, I had watched this along with all the other Best Picture nominees leading into the Academy Awards. So that's my story with watching it. Devin, you and I talked about this a lot when we did our picks. What drew you to wanting to watch this? Because I know you said you wanted to.
I think that I've seen the whole movie where person wants to pursue their dreams but family doesn't want them to. I've seen that movie done before. And to see it done well, and to the point where you had talked so much about it that you were like, this was a really good movie, this was exceptional, made me feel like, okay, maybe it did do something different and something unique with that formula, because it is a pretty tried and true formula. I mean, even Tick, Tick, Boom takes it a little bit too, where he has the passion to write a musical, but also he has his family pull where his girlfriend wants him to move up to, I don't know, upstate New York or something like that. It's interesting to see it done differently. And I also genuinely like, when a film takes this kind of beat where it shows a disability in a more realistic way, I think. And I want to get into that, but that's what made me want to watch the movie so much.
Ryan, how about you? Did anything that I said during the Oscar broadcast make you want to watch this?
Not particularly. Just I mean, not that it wasn't one of those things where you were describing it and I was going, oh, that doesn't sound like a good premise. I wasn't thinking anything like that. It was just, oh, okay, cool. Because that's my reaction a lot with just if someone's describing something and I don't have ooh, I want to see that, or I do not want to see that type of reaction to it, it falls in that middle ground of just, oh, okay, it exists.
Okay.
And it's not a bad thing. It's just that's how I kind of, it was like, oh, okay. When it won Best Picture, that's when my interest peaked a little bit on it, more than just being like, oh, okay, cool, it exists.
So I don't usually cry at the Oscars, but when this won Best Picture, I started tearing up because I absolutely love this film. And I rewatched it getting ready for the show today, and there are moments that just really hit hard. Was there anything in this film that got you guys emotionally, that hooked you?
Yeah, I cried twice during this movie.
You're
This
welcome.
free, yeah, seriously, and like not even like usually like there'll be like a single tear, and I'll just be like, gonna man up and just. This was like I'm wiping my eyes, I'm like blowing my nose. It's ridiculous.
Ugly crying.
Yeah.
I was ugly crying.
Well,
Ugly
okay,
crying.
all right,
Yeah.
let's save the moments for that made you
Okay.
do that. Ryan, did you cry at
Okay.
all?
No,
Okay.
no, no. But I mean,
You heartless
it-
no.
it did tug at me a little bit because I mean, having dyslexia and then seeing the way that they portrayed her as being like the only person in the family who could hear, I drew some parallels in my head between things that she was dealing with and things that I dealt with when I was in school. So there was definitely a lot of like, I know how she's feeling
Yeah.
type, thing. I'm granted, it's a different issue, but there are parallels there between how you're treated. So
Yeah.
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 What did you guys think of the music in this? Because music does play a big part of this. Did any song in particular stand out to you? Any musical moment?
That's a good question. There was a song that she was listening to on her headphones. I think the music in itself follows a pretty specific style of music.
Okay.
Could not put my finger on specifically what it was, but they had a very specific sound with song choice. And I really liked the songs and how they were worked into it, especially the ones that she was singing.
The one musical moment that made me go, "Oh, that's a weird choice," was when you had a high school choir singing "Let's Get It On."
It was a little weird, yeah.
Because I don't like we never really sang anything like that when we were in choir, did we, Devin?
We sang Rent. Is
We
that
did.
close?
And no.
No.
The Freedom High School Choir sang some stuff like that. So to me, it was normal.
Devin, did you get any flashbacks to choir in high school?
No, because this isn't like any choir that exists in real life. This is my only problem with this movie. Everyone in that choir was a very good singer. In real choirs, you get people like me who are not good singers and are only there for their high school girlfriends. So sorry about that, our high school choir. And B,
No, you're not.
I'm not. You're right. And B, during the choir concert, there were people standing up in the back dancing. That never happens. All of your parents are wearing middling, like the clothes they wore to work. Everyone's hungry because it's during dinner time, and everyone wants to go home. No one's dancing in the aisle during your choir concert. I'm sorry.
Nobody in your choir was that good. Sorry, Devin.
I wasn't that good. I'll tell you I wasn't.
They did not dance during the choir concerts, but jazz band.
Jazz band was where it was at. That's a whole other thing. That should have been our discussion during
Whiplash.
That one. Yep. That was the only problem I had with the movie at all was the choir. And like, especially when they had everyone sing happy birthday, I was like, too good for high school, too good for high school, too good for high school.
Yeah.
That would be the best one at Big Spring.
And it's weird because it's also like the extracurricular choir. Like it's like they have to sign up for it like a club.
Yeah, I did like the music that they had in this. I do find it funny that she was singing that the song they picked for her to sing at the beginning is a heavily sampled song for EDM music. So I did. I mean, because when the movie started, I thought, is there a rave going on that boat? Because it starts off like that. There's a song, I think, no, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, so the movie starts off with me thinking that. And then one of the songs that she plays when she's getting ready in the morning is from The Clash. And so that got me, like, I was like, oh, cool. Because I was on my bike when I was watching this movie. So I dragged out my exercise bike, and I was on it for about an hour for like the first half of the movie. And so it was like, oh, cool, upbeat music. It's like,
I really need to start watching things on my bike more.
Me too. I need a bike. That's step number one.
So the film won Best Picture, obviously, but it also won Troy Kotsur, best supporting actor. What did you guys think of Troy Kotsur's performance? And actually, before we get into that, are you guys familiar with Troy Kotsur's other work at all?
I literally just popped open his page on IMDb. I have no idea what else he does.
I'm only really familiar with the actress that played the mom.
Okay,
Outside of this,
Marlee Matlin has been around for years. She was the first deaf actress to win an Academy Award about 30 years ago. So we've talked about Troy Kotsur on the show before, and we didn't say his name. Back when we reviewed Mandalorian season 2.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how they used the actors who were playing the Sand People to develop a language, like a sign language for the Sand People to communicate with Mando.
Oh, yeah.
Troy Kotsur was that actor, and he helped develop that language. He came up with a sign for the Mandalorian where he's like drawing his mask.
That's really neat.
That
I didn't know
really
that was
cool.
him. Oh. He deserved to have won then, just for that.
For something that's not even related to.
Exactly. That's actually why he won, was because they saw the
Oh.
Mandalorian. It wasn't up, like, we're giving it to him. No,
Whatever.
but he was a powerhouse in this movie. I think one of the things that surprised me the most is how much I liked all of the family. Like, every single member of the family I liked, for different reasons. I think it's really easy to, especially with the plot, paint them as like villains or stuffy or not understanding. But no, they were wonderful.
Yeah, the mom can come across as a little bit of an overbearing mother at times. The dad is like always cracking jokes and always super horny. The son is just kind of like Meg on Family Guy. Like, why does anyone ever listen to me? Like, but it's all it's all likable. Like, you can completely understand where each one of them is coming from, and I think they do a good job of establishing each one as their own character beyond just, okay, these three are deaf and this one can hear.
Yeah.
And what I loved the most was showing how much they rely on, what's her name, on the daughter. They show how much they rely on her, and how much they literally, like, at that point the point the movie takes place, they literally could not survive without her.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do what they do without her as well. And it's so charming and at the same time so heartbreaking, because I loved the whole, like, we need you to sign for us or to talk to people. You saw how people treated them. So there was the one fish seller, I guess it was, who was offering them a different price because they knew they couldn't hear better prices going on.
Yeah.
Which is awful.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also had a couple of moments where you saw that the brother then got jealous of it. And that, it looks like she comes in and saves the day because she isn't impaired like he is. But that feels like a more real reaction. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it definitely, every reaction that they have seems realistic and doesn't really seem outlandish at all. Ryan, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, the only thing, like, the mother character, and again, I know that this is supposed to be how she was written, so whatever, lost me at the beginning, but then she worked her way back because that's how they wrote her in. It was the whole, like, if I was blind, would you paint if I couldn't see it? Like, that whole conversation. Like, I don't know what it is about Apple TV, but the only times that I've ever really flipped off my TV screen is watching Ted Lasso and this.
Is it at Jamie Tartt's dad?
Jamie Tartt's dad, yeah, that, and Jamie Tartt's dad, and light spoilers, Nate, to a point.
No, that is fair. Yes.
Yeah. To where, like, this movie and that, I have physically flipped off the TV screen. And when she did that conversation, I was on my bike and holding both my hands up to the screen, doing the pedaling.
I mean, it was an interesting take where you could tell that she thought that she was just doing it to be rebellious, and it was her way of kind of eking out her own identity in a family that has functioned. I mean, I functionally understand that, but I was the same way, where I was like,
Yeah. And then of course, like the mom learns her lesson, comes around. I'm like, okay, this is just a family thing, like it's whatever. So like I was fine, but I don't know what it is about Apple TV and making me flip off my TV screen. I don't know if that's their selling point or what. Like
Yeah. So Devin, I guess did you identify with Ruby joining the choir for a girl since you joined choir for your girlfriend?
It did. I mean, literally, because she wasn't. It didn't look like she was going to do it. She was having a conversation with her friend about, "Hey, we need to sign up for the one that takes the least amount of effort from us." And then she sees her crush sign up, and I'm like, "Yeah, I would have done that too."
You know, I completely missed that the first time I watched this.
Oh, did you?
I was like, oh, she just likes to sing, so like I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah, I think that was interesting. I liked. Well, okay. What did you guys think of the choir teacher? What is it? Bernardo Villalobos.
They needed someone aggressive to put her outside her comfort zone.
Okay.
That's how I took him. I didn't take him as like I could see him. I could see that personality and teaching style actually exist at one of these like art charter schools, not at a run-of-the-mill public school.
I mean, I can kind of see some of our music teachers from back in the day.
Well, okay.
If we like, not for you and I, because we obviously didn't have that much talent.
No, absolutely not.
But go ahead and say what you're going to say.
So this movie does something with a teacher that I've only ever seen in movies, and I have never seen in my real life experience. And I have a couple of music teacher friends that I want to reach out to and see if this happens anywhere in real life. But there's the scene in it where he's like, "You're not singing well enough. You're just doing the notes. You want to sound pretty. You need to sound real. Scream for me. Scream for me. Now sing." And it's beautiful and gorgeous, and it works. I cannot stand that trope in movies. And if that is a real thing that people do, great, then I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. What sounds more real to me was when they were going, "Do the dog barks, do the little dogs, ha, 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 and do the big dogs, ha, 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 ha. Okay, now sing." I've seen stuff like that all the time.
2 words, Devin. Breathing Jim.
Yeah, exactly. We've done breathing, but we've never been like, "Ugly, scream from me. Now create art." Like, that's never happened, ever.
The granted, this is not under a school context, okay?
Right.
But this is something that was actually done.
Okay.
The band The Used, the lead singer, when they were recording their first album, there's I think it's The Taste of Ink, I think is the name of the song. I could have messed up that name, but it's whatever. He couldn't get the scream in studio. Like the one scream on the one scream note he had to hit, he couldn't. So they took a tape recorder, or the high-end recorder they had. They took it to their new managers, because they signed on to the label, apartment they were staying at, and had the rest of the band throw pots and pans at him in the living room until he got the scream that they wanted.
But here's so my thing is that such an interesting story because it never happens, and most artists can just get it in the sound booth and they don't have to go to those extremes? Or is that a story because that's what most artists have to do to get there?
To be honest, the fact that something like that had to happen, and the manager was like, "Hey, let's go back to my apartment. We'll throw stuff at him to get the scream out of him," means stuff like this has been done before, because why else would you know something like that would work?
Again, I am so happy to be wrong here. I might contact people.
I was going to say, I don't have a specific example, but I feel like that wasn't really something that happened in band or choir in high school, but definitely in musical.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I feel like something like that happened with me in Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Alan, show me how badly you want a maid.
Yeah. Just don't wear that dress. Be the dress. Like that kind. Yeah. So I can definitely see that.
Okay.
And I think
you're wrong.
I think there's a point to don't just sing it. Like put up more emotion to it. Like that's pretty much all he's saying. He's going about it in a weird way, like a different way, like a more fantastical way, But all he's saying is put more emotion into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I think, be more expressive. Like, that's definitely something we heard in choir and in band.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think it was the theatricality of it all that throws me off
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah.
I was in choir in middle school. I know I've never brought this up before, but I was in 6th grade choir, and unfortunately, our choir person, leader, teacher, whoever, I didn't like the guy, wanted us. He seemed to focus more on hand gestures than he did the actual singing, which is what really took me out of it. So like it's like every other word. It's like, go like this, then go like that, then do this, then do that, with every single thing. So like you had to memorize a routine with the actual like song, and there was like 80 of us, almost 100 of us in the choir, I think, if I remember correctly, because we were in the cafeteria in our first meeting, and we were like, we filled up the whole cafeteria. And we filled
That's
up.
exciting. What song were you singing with those?
I don't remember.
Katy Perry's Firework is now what's in my head.
This is no, because we're talking 1996, 1995.
You will never talk me down from this. I understand the timelines don't work out. You will never talk me down now.
I can't. Macarena.
No. All we did was all the stuff we did was oldies.
The Weather Girls, It's Raining Men. There it is.
Oldies, Devin.
Why
Yeah,
is
that's an oldie. Oh.
I swear if I had the money to fly to London. I swear if I had...
Well,
oh my gosh.
Amsterdam. You got to fly to Amsterdam because he's traveling soon.
I'm a moving target.
I'm not used to doing the show during daylight, whatever it is, standard time, because the sun is like just on my wall.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and it's ruining my shot.
Sun.
So, was the first time you guys heard about this film from the Oscars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did this get a theatrical release at all?
I think so. Well, it screened at Sundance and was bought by Apple for, let me pull up the number because it was ridiculous. $25 million. Apple bought the rights to this. Which is a record. So I don't think it was in theaters. I think it showed at Sundance and maybe a few other festivals, but Apple TV bought the rights to it. And this is the perfect movie to watch at home. Like, there's nothing that seeing this on the big screen would add to it, but it also doesn't take anything away watching it on your TV.
I think. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you should watch this on your Apple Watch, but
no.
The only thing I would say is that I would love to be in a movie theater and listen to this movie. Because just because of the music that they pick for it, and the fact that like during the teaching lessons, I think you would hear better the tones at which she's singing and where the teacher's like being like, no, you've got to do this a little bit differently, and then you could actually have a better chance of hearing that difference compared to over like TV or like cheap sound system speakers.
Oh, I have a pretty good sound system if I do say so myself. So like the one moment that really stood out to me sound wise was during the concert where you get the family's point of view, where the music just goes away. Like there's no sound, no ambient sound, no nothing. It's just dead air. And you see her singing up on stage, but you can't hear her. And that moment, like that deafening silence hits so hard, even me watching it on my phone at my computer, like it still hit really hard. It's such a great use of sound and how they like just cut it away to show you what they see.
This is going to sound like such a stupid take on it, but literally during that scene, I was like, should I mute my computer to see what they see? Because I'm curious what this looks like from their perspective. And then it cut the sound, and I'm like, thank you. I wanted to know. So I was actually really excited the movie did that.
I feel like it goes hand in hand with visually what's going on the screen, because it's not just that it cuts, it's that you're seeing what the father is seeing, looking around and seeing people enjoy what they're hearing that he can't. And taking body language into account, because that's something that I don't know, like there are times there are times when I can really pick up on body language, but then there's other times where I absolutely cannot, and I don't understand why I'm sensitive sometimes and not sensitive others. But it was definitely interesting being put in a position where you had to recognize body language to get the full grasp of what the story at that moment was trying to tell you. And I really like that pairing of like having both of those things happen at the same time.
I really liked that the dad, even though he couldn't hear it, was really interested in what everyone around him was reacting to, like how they were reacting. That's one of those moments that I was like, okay, I really like this guy. Like I really like it how he shows so much curiosity without being like just through his face. Like there's so much going on without him using words. And I think like you take somebody like Andrew Garfield in Tick Tick Boom. I don't want to compare supporting to lead. J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos, because I haven't gotten to talk to both of you about this yet. Like he's there. He's pretty much just doing an impression of Fred from I Love Lucy.
Right.
And it's all spoken like his mannerisms are the same as that actor. And it's a good performance, but there's not really much depth to it. But you look at this performance here, and there's so much depth. And you you're taking away one of the actors' big things, which is their voice, because he doesn't speak. It's all sign language. It's all sign language and subtitles. So it's the voice in your head. Like that's what you hear it as. And I think he does such a great job of conveying what he's feeling in each moment of the film that I think that's why he won Best Actor, Supporting Actor.
Yeah, and this might be taking the movie a bit too far, but the thing I thought was incredibly cool was that there would be these whole scenes, especially like family arguments, where they would be literally signing the entire thing. It would be almost dead air. You'd hear essentially some like room tone on the shot, but you would get the sense of how everyone's feeling, how everyone, how they're reacting to what everyone's saying. And that's not an experience that I think I've ever had. And it was interesting for this movie to give me that, where I'm like, oh, this is what it would look like if I was having an argument like with a deaf family. Like I wouldn't hear anything. It would be in body language, and it would be in how sharp they're doing their gestures, and really, really interesting. And I really like that.
And also like the getting dinner ready, like how loud it would be if you're not aware of how loud you're being.
Yeah. Or even the engine on their boat. They didn't know how loud the engine on their boat was.
Yeah, because one of the things that my experience with those scenes, because I was reading, I wasn't paying attention to what they were doing at all. I was looking at the bottom of the screen to read it, so I could only watch it once. But the one thing that I picked up on was, granted, any of the motion around where the like subtitles were coming up, I was getting. So like Devin, like the sharp movements, the body's jerking a little bit, like the body language, but then also hearing the ambient tone, but then also like the hands slapping together whenever they were doing a sign, because it was like the more heated the conversation got, the more like the louder the slap of their hands made whenever they had to make a sign when they were being aggressive with it. So I mean, again too, because I've never seen that happen. I haven't seen anything like that before, so it was interesting to get that experience of actually seeing it.
Yeah, and like some of the noises that they make with their mouth while they're signing too, like some of the expressions that they make, like you can hear those too. Ryan, as far as subtitled movies go, I'm really curious to hear your take on Drive My Car, because that one is a lot. Like, there's not much movement in each scene, So you can just pretty much read the whole thing, and like if you look up once at the beginning of the scene and like read the whole thing, you're set.
Weird.
It's a very static film. Like there's one scene with two of the characters in the back seat of the car from the title of the film, and it's just
Hmm.
the camera doesn't move at all. It's just like one actor, the other actor. So you like as long as you know which one's which, you're set. Like you can't
Wow.
like nothing else really happens, and it's like
It,
they're like dead center frame too.
well, part of the issues that I have with things like that is depending if the film puts the name of the character over what's being said at that time, if they do or don't, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and it can be extremely frustrating when I'm doing something like that.
Yeah.
So it would really depend on that aspect of it, because if I'm doing specifically that, just looking at the bottom of the screen, not going, not quickly looking up and down to see what's going on this, what's actually going on. If I get crossed between who's saying what, and then later in the movie something happens, but it's not the character I thought it was that was saying something, then that's when things go sideways for me. And that's usually with movies like this that I just turn off, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I've got to spend more time on this. I'm going to wait till late at night, watch this, and then I'll have to watch it again in a few days again.
That makes sense. It definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. Especially with subtitles, because you're right. Like sometimes they'll do color code, sometimes they'll do like different characters' names.
Yeah.
I was curious in this movie, and I guess we're long enough into this. Can I get into spoilers for it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So in the movie, in the end of it, she ends up deciding to kind of not stay with her family. The family gets in trouble specifically because she's not there, which I thought was an incredibly hard scene to watch. But it becomes this point where the family says, okay, you really either have to go for college or you have to stay with us and do the ship and the fishing business and that co-op business that they decided to do as well. The family does kind of turn a little bit and decides to support her dream, but she ends up going to college. Is that something you guys would have done? Or would you guys have stayed behind and helped your family? Because I know for me, from the guilt of having abandoned them and having them lose their fishing license and all of that, that would have been more than enough for me to say, no, I'm abandoning this for good. I do not care. I am now with you guys. And I would not have made the choice she made. But that's because of me.
Well,
You know,
I
It's a tough choice, and
Well-
that's what I liked the most about this is I could see it going both ways.
it's I have a little bit of experience with this.
Yeah.
My grandfather opened a restaurant, and my family helped open it between my freshman and sophomore years at college.
Mhm.
And I helped out when I could, like over the summer, like helping getting it ready. But as soon as school started, I was gone, and I never
Mhm.
really came back to help. But it was always like it was always still like I'm supportive of the business. Like hell, I'm still on the Facebook page for the business.
Aw.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's my answer. Like I would help
Yeah.
out when I could, but I got to do what's best for me, which was going to school.
You would have gone off to college.
Yeah.
that, and you've got to understand the context too.
Mhm.
I mean, not understand. You understand the context. You saw the movie. She had been their interpreter her entire life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was also playing in it too. And the
Mhm.
parents realized, yes, this isn't fair. This is not fair to her. And, that we've been basically forcing her to be the interpreter. I mean, how long has she been waking up at 3 a.m, working on that boat before going to school? Since
My
middle
guess
school?
was it's 10 years.
Since
if not.
elementary school?
Yeah.
I mean, because if they've been fishermen for, if that guy's dad was a fisherman and he was a fisherman, then who was the one answering the radio call before she was there?
Right. Was it
So-
the dad or was it no one?
So I feel like that's why the family kind of rallied around her.
Mhm.
And my favorite line from this is from the mom towards the end. It's like, if we're going to be kicking you out of the house, we're going to do it as a family. like, to where the family had to make that decision for her because she was going to stay. She was going to give everything up. And that's why her brother got mad because he's like, no,
Yeah.
you can sing. You need to get out of here. And
Yeah.
that's why the family came around her. I mean, I would personally, in the movie, in that context, me as her, I would leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see that. I think for me, I just have such a strong like sense of guilt that like since that one incident happened, I would have been like, I'm quitting choir, I'm quitting school, I'm gonna live on this boat for you guys forever, and I'm gonna way overreact to this because that's how I take things.
And
Just
you're
because I
going to be
know
known as the singing fisherman.
exactly that'll be our shtick or whatever. Yeah. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a whole movie about that, like singing fishermen. It's called Fisherman's Friends. They sing.
I don't know that I want to see
sea
this
shanties.
movie.
It's not bad. It's good. They're making a sequel to it, so I'm probably going to make you guys watch it before the end of the year.
You may have had me at sea shanties, though. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I do love
Yeah.
those.
And
Even in the movie Cabin Boy, they did singing parts in that too. So.
yeah, but we're not talking about Cabin Boy. We're not watching
I know.
Cabin Boy.
You sure? It's a movie I've seen. Have you guys seen it?
If you really wanted to get us back from MacGruber, you would make us watch Cabin Boy.
I love that.
All right,
movie.
so we talked a little bit about how we reacted emotionally to this. Devin, you said you cried twice. I'll give my first example
Okay.
of where I cried. And what was weird is I had this whole movie spoiled for me, so I knew everything that was going to happen beat for beat.
How did this get spoiled for you?
So I listened to the CinemaSins podcast, the Sincast, back when they still did the Sincast. They changed formats now, and I don't like it as much. But the voice of CinemaSins talked about this movie in depth, and it got really personal for him and why he really enjoyed it because he's losing his hearing, so he is very weary of stories like this. But he told about like the parents having sex, and then like her doing the sign language at the audition. So I knew like beat for beat like what was going to happen. But it still like emotionally got me. The first moment that got me was when the dad asks her to sing for him in the backyard under the stars.
100%. Same. That is, that one. And I tried so hard not to too, because I was trying to like make it a weird scene in my mind. I'm like, he's grabbing her throat. Is that weird? I'm like, no, this is adorable and brilliant and beautiful. And I'm crying and I'm like, try to rationalize it and make it weird, and it didn't work.
Like that moment, I was like, he needs the Oscar. Like that's the moment that
was
cinched
his
it for
moment.
me. That's like when we were doing our picks. Devin was reading off the nominees, and before we even finished, I marked off his name. I was like, he's got it. Like he's gonna get it.
Devin, did that scene do anything at all for you?
Yeah, Ryan.
It intrigued me on more of a like curious mindset than like an emotional reaction. Like I know that song, so as soon as he like put his hand like right by her throat to feel the vibrations, I was like, hang on a second, this makes sense. Yeah, that's what they would do. And I'm like, what would that feel like? And I know the song, so I sang with it too, and I put my hand like this to feel what it felt really cool, actually, because you can actually feel the tone and vibration in your throat depending on the different notes you hit.
Wow. See, that's cool. Like,
I mean, like he had an idea of what it could have sounded like based on that. So, I mean, to me, it was more of like, oh, cool. I never really thought of that before. And it's like, I wonder what that feels like. So I got the emotional part of it, like why it was so touching, but I was more intrigued with the actual physical action of what was going on that I wanted to know. I wanted to know.
And I think for me, it just was such a good character moment for him. It represented where he finally, he was primed for it because he saw the reactions in the crowd, and he was like, okay, I need to see this for myself now because I understand this is something that is bigger than what I thought it was going to be.
Devin, what was the other moment for you?
Her signing to her family during the audition. I don't. It was just how happy they looked. Like it wasn't even like a sad moment. It was just so incredibly touching. And that like the three judges knew that everything that was going on was just utterly shenanigans. They're like, we'll allow it. And like they had that mentality for like every single beat of that scene where like the family wasn't supposed to be in there. The companyist wasn't supposed to be that person. Clearly he restarted the piece so she could sing it better a second time. Yeah. But like they're just like, whatever, this is great and we'll let it happen. I don't know, it was so good. Was that your other scene?
I think so.
Yeah.
During the audition, when it cuts to her back on the boat, I was like, oh, she didn't get in.
Oh, interesting.
But then it plays out. I was like, okay, she got in. Like, that's good. Ryan, anything for you?
The stuff that really kind of got to me a little, like I didn't cry. I didn't get that like teary thing. It was just a mixture of other. I had the emotion hits, but they went a different direction.
You got angry.
No, it's just like it didn't really go to tears. It was just like, oh, I kind of understand.
Yeah.
So and I know this is again like things are parallel, and like having someone who's deaf and trying to communicate to me parallels between parallels a situation where you need to spell and write things out to communicate in certain situations, and I could not do that up until my like junior year of junior year of high school, at above a second grade level. And then even to this day, if it wasn't for Google and predictive text, I would still be at that second, third grade spelling level.
Oh, wow.
And so the situations with like, she gets made fun of for smelling like fish, and then the friend goes, well, at least she's not doing the deaf voice thing anymore. I was like, well,
which is a fair point. Yeah,
which I mean, that is a fair point in the film. But when her friend said that, I had a flash to like, for a long time I was made fun of because I couldn't spell anything, and then eventually that went from not being made fun of for not being able to spell for the stutter, and then went from the stutter to just being quiet. And so it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, you're getting made fun of, but at least it's not this. Like that's like, I've had friends have that conversation with me before when I was younger. So like stuff like that, there were parallels around like, well, I'm connected to her.
Yeah.
I'm sold on this character. There's lived experiences there that I can relate to. So, I'm there for the ride on this one.
All right. Anything else on CODA before we wrap this up?
I want to know, we teased at the beginning, I want to know why you didn't think the Academy would go for this one.
So I didn't think it was going to win Best Picture because even the IMDb poll that they have on the CODA page, for some reason, it wasn't the front runner.
Wow.
It was in third place behind Power of the Dog and Dune. Like, I just thought, since those are big studio, like Netflix is a big established studio at this point.
Yeah.
Dune, produced by Warner Brothers, big studio movie. This is an independent film, bought at Sundance by Apple. I thought it was just too small of a film. Like, Belfast is a small film too, which is also on the list for us to watch at some point, along with Nightmare Alley. Like, all three of my Best Picture picks, like the three that I was torn against, we're watching the other two as well. And then I think we're leaving it the Best Pictures from this year at that. I just thought it was too small of a film to win. But I'm super glad that it did.
So it wasn't anything the movie had done specifically?
No, it was not. Like, I was like, I wanted it to win so much, but I was like, it's too small of a movie to win Best Picture.
You were thinking more of the politics of it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But yeah,
which,
that's
given
why.
the Academy, I mean, I'd be torn myself.
Okay, so I think that does it for our conversation on CODA.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about next week. So since I won the Oscar poll, I get to pick a film. Usually on the show, the rule is one of us has to have not seen the film that we're going to talk about. We're changing that up for the winner of the bet, which was me. I had a pick. I had it down. I had a pick that I wanted to do. Things happened at the Oscars. I am no longer doing that pick because it was going to be a good one, and I'll save that one for maybe when someone's not in the news cycle as much as they are now.
Fair.
I also had another pick that I have a graphic ready for right now that I'm not going to reveal because as we were talking, I realized what next Tuesday is, and I'm calling an audible on myself.
Okay.
Next Tuesday is First Contact Day, which is a big Star Trek holiday. Now, Devin, I know you're not big on the Star Trek films, and you haven't seen many of them. So that's not my pick. Next week, guys, by Bathar's Hammer, You Shall Be Avenged. We're doing Galaxy Quest.
Yes. Okay, good.
So yeah. So in honor of Star Trek Day, or the in honor of First Contact Day, we're doing Galaxy Quest. Ryan, you've seen that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
You don't seem excited. I thought you'd be a little bit more excited.
I'm just content. I'm happy.
Okay.
Content to happy. It's good. No, I'm excited. I've never seen this with Star Trek fans, so I want to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be a Star Trek themed show, maybe a little bit. Like I have an Enterprise that I'm going to put behind me. So.
And Devin, I may send you no more than 3 episodes from random different series I'm going to want you to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to watch them here. They're all on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, that's why I kept glancing back behind me. I thought I had a pin for this, and I have like 2 other Tim Allen things. Like right down here's
Santa Claus, right?
Santa Claus, yeah. And then over here I've got Home Improvement. I thought I had a Galaxy Quest, but I guess I don't.
I mean, I see Riker right over your shoulder.
Yeah. Wait, is it? Oh, that's why. There it is. It's right. It was underneath Riker. It's a magnet.
Oh.
So my wife and I have a game where we hide the Riker. She hid it there behind me a few weeks ago. So now I have to go hide Riker somewhere else.
Oh.
And
also, Ryan, which ship is that? Which ship was that?
No, it's a Stargazer.
Is that an Enterprise?
Next Generation. It was Captain Picard's first command.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Stargazer.
Okay. See, I did not know that.
Yeah. All right. So tune in next week for a First Contact show where we talk about Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Sam Rockwell, Tony Shalhoub, and the dad from Veronica Mars. So that'll be a fun one. If you haven't already and you're watching us on Twitch, hit that follow button. We are so close to hitting affiliate. We just need a few more followers. If you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and like our page for more posts and fun clips from our Oscar show, this show, all other things that we do. Follow us on Instagram. You can visit our website, rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com// you have to watch this pod. Can find us on YouTube. You have to watch this podcast, and you can listen to You Have to Watch This podcast on all major podcasting platforms. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed CODA. This wraps our Academy Awards season talk for the year until next year. But for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And I really wanted to learn sign language, but I didn't want to mess it up like everyone who doesn't know sign language in the movie. But get my wife's name out of... No, I'm not going to do it.
So everyone, until next week, mum is the word.
Next week we're going to watch G.I. Jane.
Oh, no.
No. We'll see you next week.